When you open up Arduino, it should look something like this. Yours might not have the numbers off to the side. They also might not have these minus signs right here. I added those in separately, and if you want to add those in, I'll show you how. You'd go to File, you'd go to Preferences, and I clicked on some of these check boxes here because I've done this for a while, I've done this a couple times, and I know the things that I like and the things that I don't like. So I have selected the things that I want and deselected the things I don't want. So you can feel free to do that. As you get a little bit further in, the ones that I like especially are display the line numbers. That gives us these numbers here. I like that because it's easy for me to see how many lines of code I've written. And if there's an error or if I need to explain something, I can say, go to this line and you can see what's happening, or if somebody tells me to go to a line, I can see exactly what's happening. Another one that I like is this check mark here. This enables code folding, and what that is it adds these minus signs here. And that allows me, especially when I get really long codes, it allows me to condense what is actually shown on the screen. And I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. You'll also notice that up here I changed my font size to 20. That's just going to increase the size of this font so that it's going to be a little bit easier for you to see in this video. There are a couple other things on here as well. For now, I wouldn't worry too much about them unless you want to add maybe those first two things on there or increase the font size. So you'll see that the font size got larger. I have these numbers here off to the side. So I'm on line 4 right now. I'm on line 7 right now. And then these are what was my code folding. So again, if I click on it, it's going to shrink everything that is in this line of code right here. And so this, again, is really nice when I have longer code. If this is taking up a whole lot of space and I don't need to see it right now, I can just click it and it shrinks, and then I can just see this. And I don't have to worry about what's going on up here. You'll notice that my line numbers just jump from 1 to 5. That's because these ones were all folded up into here. All right, so a couple other things would be this check mark here. After I've written some code, I will click this check mark, and what it'll do is it will go through and it will compile. We see that down here it says it is done compiling. If I click it again, you'll see that it's compiling the sketch. What that means is it is turning the code that I've written into machine language. It's turning it into binary language, ones and zeros, something that the computer can understand. It's going to do that so that it can read it. It's going to tell me when it's done. If for some reason when it does that, it notices that there's some inconsistencies or something wrong with it, it'll give me an error. Now, I know that you don't know a whole lot about this or anything about this code right now, but one thing I can't do is delete this. It's gonna, since I changed it, it's going to ask me to save it. That was one of the options that you can pick in Preferences, is to have it save when I make changes. For now, I'm just going to click Cancel, and you'll see it's compiling, and then it turns orange down here. There's a problem. You'll see that it gives me some information, and right now it might be really cryptic. It might not give you a whole lot of information. It might be somewhat confusing. A function definition is not allowed here before this curly bracket. That's a brace. Before that, token. And remember, that's the thing that I took out. I took out one of those. So it gives me a little bit of information. Sometimes it's good information. It tells me exactly what I need to know, and it makes sense. Sometimes it's very cryptic, and you're kind of unsure what it means, but it might point you in the right direction. So I'm going to put this back. We'll compile it again. It should work fine. All right, done compiling, so it's good. That doesn't mean anything's going to run. I don't have an actual microcontroller on me. I don't have an Arduino on me right now. But what I would normally do is I'd plug in my microcontroller into my computer, and then I could click this button. And what that's going to do is it's going to upload the file. It's going to upload this sketch to my microcontroller, to my Arduino. So first thing it's going to do when I click this is it's going to, again, ask me if I want to save. Then it's going to compile it just like it did when we verified, but you'll see that now it gives me an error. This error has nothing to do with the code here. It has to do with there is a problem uploading to the board. The reason for that is, like I said, I don't have a board selected. I don't have a board here to plug in. This is sometimes a common problem, even if you do have a board plugged in. What you need to do is when you plug a board in, sometimes you need to install some drivers or a plug-in or something to make the computer recognize the Arduino microcontroller. You also have to make sure to tell this Arduino software what microcontroller you're using. So to do that, after you've plugged it in, and again I don't have one on me right now, I'd click on Tools, and I would go down to Board. And I can select from any one of these boards. All these boards are slightly different, and so as it compiles the code and then saves it, it needs to know what board you're going to be saving it to so that it can do it in the proper manner. The board that we're going to give you this quarter is the Arduino Uno, so make sure that the Arduino Uno is selected. You'll see down here, the bottom right hand side of the screen, it says that this is an Arduino Uno. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to select a port. Now currently I do not have a port selected because again I don't have anything plugged in. This port is which USB slot I have this plugged into. Sometimes these numbers change and they seem kind of random. And occasionally if you have multiple things plugged in or multiple boards plugged in, you'll have to come in here and you'll have to select which one of these it is. Let's say that it was plugged into COM3. I would select that. You'll see that it put a check mark next to it. So there's a dot next to this one telling me that this is the board that's selected. There's a check mark next to this telling me that's the COM port that was selected. Then if I were to run this, and again it's not going to work now because I don't have anything set up, it should, after I save it or cancel it here, it should upload. It's trying to think really hard. It's thinking harder this time than it did last time because I changed the COM port. And so it's thinking, hey, maybe something was plugged in, something's different. So it's going to check it, but it's still going to pop back here in a second with an error. So this is the program, this one that we've done previously is the program that you can download directly onto your computer. It is software, you put it on the computer, you can run it, you have to open it up to run it. This one over here, this Arduino Create, or the website create.arduino.cc, is a browser-based environment to code Arduino in. What does that mean? This is not browser-based, this side that we've previously done, that's an actual program. Oh, see, came up, there was a problem. I'll go ahead and minimize this for now. This one here was actual software. This one that I'm opening now is browser-based. It is over the internet. It's in a browser. It's not downloaded onto my computer. I can access this anywhere. It's similar to Google Drive or OneDrive or something like that. It's kind of like a cloud storage that can run things. So I'm going to go ahead and sign in, and hopefully I remember what I need to do to sign in. Hopefully my password didn't change. Alright, so you go here, you sign in, click onto Arduino Web Editor. Again, this isn't downloaded onto my computer, it's just a website. And this website, I can go ahead and write code, I can save code, I can upload code without ever having to save anything on my actual computer. And that's nice in this class, and it's nice in general because if I'm working on something, I can access it wherever that I want to access it and work on it without having to worry about saving it or having it on a different computer or a different hard drive. Alright, so again, I have this old sketch up here, I'm going to click New Sketch. And when I do that, it's going to give me this same thing. And you'll notice that it's very similar to what was on this one. We have some things that automatically pop up. At this point, don't worry about it. Just know that it pops up there and you have to have it. From this point, we can add things, but we don't want to take away much of anything. Same thing popped up here. We see that we have a lot of the same words in the same order. And that's just giving us a starting point. You'll see here that it says select board or port. We're going to have to do the exact same thing that we did previously. We can pick a board, and in this case we would pick the Arduino Uno. Again, I don't have anything plugged in to select a port, so it's not even giving me the option right now, but that would be on this side here, and it would say what port do you want to select, and then I would click OK. You'll see that there's this red X here. That's because there is no connection. It knows that there isn't anything there. I still have the same buttons. I have a verify button, so I can verify my code, make sure that there are no errors, and then later I could upload it. And it's not even going to give me the option because it knows there's nothing there, so it won't give me that error. A couple other things. I can give it full screen. I can auto indent things. I have these numbers off to the side here to tell me what line of code I'm on. And I have these arrows. These are the same things as code folding in the other environment, the Arduino that we were talking about earlier.